Tyler Perry might run empires, but according to Katt Williams, there's one man in Hollywood who rattles him to the core, Eddie Murphy. And no, this ain't some petty rivalry. Katt says Perry is shook for real. But why would a billionaire boss like Tyler be worried about Eddie? What's really going on behind those studio gates? Katt hints at something dark, something buried deep in the elite circles of Hollywood. Whatever it is, it's got Tyler playing defense, and if it ever gets out, it could blow the whole game up. We're not talking about just any celebrity beef. This is next level. Eddie Murphy ain't just famous, he's legendary. He's the kind of name that still echoes through the halls of comedy clubs and movie sets all over the world. His presence, unmatched. His legacy, untouchable. So when Katt Williams stepped up and dropped the bomb, Tyler Perry is scared of Eddie Murphy. Most people laughed it off. Sounded wild, right? But if you take a second and really look at the pattern, things start to click. Tyler built an empire from scratch, but Eddie owns the room just by walking in. There's a different kind of weight behind Eddie's name, and Katt's not the only one who sees it. Hollywood might be glitzy on the surface, but this drama, it's messy, it's real, and it's making people nervous. Eddie Murphy didn't need some Hollywood machine pulling strings behind the scenes. He kicked the door open with pure, raw talent. By the time he was just 19, he'd already flipped the script on Saturday Night Live, dragging it back from the edge of cancellation and turning it into must-watch TV again. From 48 Hours to Coming to America to Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie wasn't just acting, he was rewriting the rules of the game. Every role he touched, instant classic. Every scene, a cultural reset. Katt Williams knows it too. Eddie ain't the kind of star you can clone. He's the one-in-a-million type. And that's exactly why Tyler Perry's sweating behind the scenes. And see, Tyler Perry's empire is massive, no doubt about it. The man built a billion-dollar kingdom off precision moves and smart plays. He didn't just break into the industry, he carved out his own lane and turned it into a freeway. His formula? Big characters, bigger messages, and laser-focused appeal to black audiences, especially church-going women. Medea, that pistol-packing granny, was genius. Part comic relief, part preacher, all cash magnet. But here's the twist. What Tyler's got in dollars, Eddie's got in timeless respect, and you can't buy that. Legacy don't come with a price tag. And now comes the real sting. Eddie ain't just saying no to Tyler Perry's offers. He's not saying anything at all. Straight up silence. No callback. No acknowledgement. And when one of the most legendary names in the game ghosts one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, that's not just rejection, that's humiliation, that's silence. According to Katt Williams, it screams louder than any headline ever could. Eddie Murphy's quiet rejection isn't random. It's intentional. Eddie doesn't need to play Hollywood politics, shake hands with fake smiles, or beg for a seat at the table. He already owns his spot at the top, and he never had to look back. Tyler Perry might have the studios, the streaming deals, and a blueprint that's raked in billions, but Eddie's got something you can't copy, buy, or fake: realness. That raw authenticity that makes legends lean in and listen when he speaks. It's not just about one man being jealous of another's success, it cuts deeper than that. This is about identity. Eddie never had to change who he was to make it in the industry. Meanwhile, critics have been calling Tyler out for years, saying he hides behind costumes, caricatures, and stories that only show one slice of the black experience. Some even say he plays it safe to stay good with white execs in the background. And when Eddie steps in the room, all that smoke and mirrors crumbles. He don't need no dress, no wig, no forced moral message, just his voice, his presence, and boom, the room shifts. That kind of power can't be managed, and it definitely can't be ignored. Katt says that's why Tyler's nervous, because Eddie's the one man who doesn't need a script to take over the scene. And now Katt's throwing gasoline on the fire, claiming that behind Tyler's tight grip on image and control, there's a secret he's been hiding for years. This isn't about gossip or cheap rumors. Katt's not digging into orientation for headlines. He's calling out a deeper contradiction. Tyler Perry, the face of moral lessons and family values through Medea, is, according to Katt, living a whole different reality when the cameras stop rolling, and he's been keeping that side locked up for a long time. Now this is where things get real messy. Katt Williams isn't just throwing shade, he's setting off alarms. He claims Tyler Perry isn't just hiding his personal truth, he's using his power to silence others. Allegedly, Tyler even warned male actors to steer clear of Jaguar Wright. Why? Because she saw too much. Jaguar didn't just hear rumors, she saw the parties, the strange energy. the hush-hush behavior behind the scenes, and the fear, it was thick in the air. This ain't just drama. It's starting to look like a full-blown whistleblower situation. Wright's painting a picture of a man so wrapped up in his own polished image, he'll shut down anyone who threatens to pull back the curtain. And the wildest part? He's not doing it from power. He's doing it from fear. Fear of what, though? According to Katt, it's fear of what Eddie Murphy represents. A black man in Hollywood who's truly free. No chains, no contracts controlling his voice, no deals that silence his truth. Eddie moves how he wants, and that kind of freedom terrifies people who are still playing by Hollywood's old rules. Sound like conspiracy talk? Look closer. Katt says when you challenge the machine, the agents, the handlers, the studios that shape your image, you don't get applause. You get blackballed, punished, shut out. Just look at Eddie's track record. One of the greatest entertainers in the game, box office gold, a living legend. But the Oscars? Crickets. Eddie Murphy has only one Academy Award nomination, one. And it wasn't even for one of his most iconic roles. It was for Dreamgirls in 2006, a part he flat out admitted he didn't even go all in on. What does that tell you about the industry? Director Craig Brewer, who worked with Eddie on Coming to America, pulled the curtain back on a podcast. He didn't describe a diva or a Hollywood puppet. He described a man who shows up, works hard, and still gets sidelined by a system that doesn't know what to do with someone they can't control. Eddie Murphy shows up, nails the role, and makes it all look easy. But behind that smooth delivery, hours in the makeup chair, sharp rehearsal, laser focus, the man gets into character like a surgeon, but because he makes it look effortless, Hollywood shrugs him off. And that's not just disrespect, it's by design. Eddie's comedy, groundbreaking, his movies, culture shifting, his acting, straight up masterclass. But when the Academy looks his way, they don't see genius, they don't see skill, they just see a black man cracking jokes. They hear laughter, but they ignore the legacy behind it. That's the problem Katt Williams is shouting about. Eddie doesn't play by their rules, doesn't fit their mold, and that makes him dangerous in a system where white approval is still treated like gold. If you don't chase their praise, they act like you don't exist. But here's where it gets real twisted. While Eddie keeps getting passed over, Tyler Perry gets celebrated. Despite catching years of heat for pushing out films that lean on stereotypes, recycled trauma, and shallow storylines, Perry still got handed the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award at the 2021 Oscars. Meanwhile, Eddie, who redefined what black comedy could look like and kicked open doors for an entire generation, remains left out of the official spotlight. No standing ovation, no career achievement honors, nothing. That's not just bias, but that's the system doing its job, rewarding those who smile, follow the rules, and keep things comfortable, and silencing those who challenge the narrative, flip the script, or move without permission. Eddie's greatness isn't in question. The real question is, why is Hollywood so afraid to honor it? Katt Williams isn't sugarcoating it. He says Tyler Perry's power only exists because he plays the game. He's predictable, easy to manage, and his movies don't shake the system, they protect it. But Eddie Murphy? He's never played by their rules, and that's exactly why he's been iced out by the industry's inner circle. Eddie skipped the red carpets, ducked interviews, and walked away from deals that didn't feel right. That's not rebellion, it's integrity. And how did Hollywood respond? By withholding the love, by hoping he'd quietly disappear into the background. But he didn't. Instead, Eddie dropped classics that still slap decades later. The Nutty Professor, Coming to America, Harlem Nights. These weren't just funny films, they were cultural monuments, all-black casts, all-black excellence, zero apologies. Meanwhile, Perry's films, despite going global and racking up cash, often catch heat for selling a limited, almost boxed-in version of the black experience. Sure, the reach is big, but what's the message being pushed? Success is one thing, but what kind of representation is it built on? Katt sees the contrast clearly. On one side, you've got Eddie Murphy, a raw genius the system refuses to fully recognize. On the other, Tyler Perry, polished, approved, and packaged for mainstream comfort. That's why in Katt's eyes, Perry has every reason to be looking over his shoulder, because Eddie doesn't need anyone's green light to shine. He just does. And he's been doing it for over 40 years. No Oscar needed. While Eddie was being sidelined, Tyler became the poster boy for safe, marketable black success. He got the awards, the talk show invites, the magazine covers. But the question ain't just why him, it's at what cost. While the industry was busy throwing awards and praise at Tyler Perry, something was shifting behind the scenes. The very people who helped build his empire were quietly stepping back. Look at what happened with Monique. Right after winning an Oscar for her role in Precious, her career should have exploded. But instead, it stalled. Hard. Why? Because she stood her ground. Monique refused to fly around the world doing unpaid press she wasn't contracted for. She was upfront about it. She fulfilled her domestic obligations and drew the line. That should have been respected. But instead, everything changed. Behind the scenes, Monique says the hammer came down and she names names: Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Lee Daniels. According to her, they didn't just gossip. They conspired to blacklist her from the entire industry. And Perry allegedly lied to execs, calling her difficult, and even after admitting in private that he made it all up, he never fixed the damage publicly. Monique sat in that exile for over 10 years. Before all this, she says she was pulling in $2 to $3 million a year. Do the math. Over a decade, that's tens of millions lost, and all based on a lie that was never undone. But for Monique, the money wasn't even the deepest cut. The real pain came from someone she trusted. She says Oprah crossed the line in a way that still haunts her, inviting Monique's estranged parents onto her show. And this wasn't just TV drama. Oprah did this after Monique confided in her privately about how toxic and painful that relationship was. That wasn't just messy. Monique calls it the ultimate betrayal. When it came time to make peace, Oprah didn't exactly come clean. Instead of a real apology, she slid in a soft, indirect line during a group panel. "If I've done anything wrong, I apologize to Monique." That wasn't accountability. That was a cop-out. No ownership, just deflection. And it gets worse. Monique says Tyler Perry took things even further. During the Precious promo run, he allegedly pulled her into a private room, staff all around. She wasn't taking any chances, so she brought her own security. And as soon as Perry closed that door, his team vanished, like they knew what kind of pressure play was about to go down. According to Monique, Perry tried to push her to do more unpaid press, promising a fat future payday, anywhere from $3 to $8 million if she just played along. But she stood firm, and instead of respecting her decision, Perry allegedly stepped back in the room, but then stepped into the smear campaign once she walked away. And then there's another bombshell. Oprah's own former makeup artist, Reggie Wells, reportedly overheard her saying she'd never pay Monique. The betrayal just kept piling up. What Monique wants isn't money anymore. It's truth. She wants Oprah and Tyler to publicly admit what they already said behind closed doors, that they were wrong, that they lied, and that their actions cost her millions. And if they ever want to make it right, they need to say it loud in the same spotlight that helped burn her name. But Monique isn't the only one speaking out anymore. More voices are rising. Industry vets are done staying quiet. Tichina Arnold, another legend in the game, has been shining a light too. She's been putting in work for decades, respected from studio heads to neighborhood fans, and now she's breaking her silence about the real deal, the money, the mistreatment, and how black women in the business are still getting the short end of the stick. There's a pattern here: women doing the work, carrying the stories, holding down the screen, and still getting left in the dust. And what's wild? One of the biggest names that keeps coming up is Tyler Perry. Yeah, the same man who built his legacy on giving these women a voice is now being called out for silencing that same truth. For years, Tyler was seen as the hero, the one who made space for black actresses when no one else would. He opened doors, handed out roles, created platforms. But now, some of those very women are done. They're tired of playing broken, bitter, abandoned characters, tired of trauma stories with no resolution, tired of being stuck in the pain while the powerful men cash the checks. They're not begging to be seen anymore. They're demanding respect, and they're calling it out. The one-dimensional roles, the same recycled stereotypes, the emotional weight being dumped on black women for drama, while healing and depth get pushed to the side. This takes us right back to what Katt Williams said. Power doesn't mean a thing if the people who once uplifted you now see you as the problem. Tyler might have the streaming deals, the studios, the media reach, but Eddie Murphy has something money can't buy: respect. And more women in Hollywood are starting to gravitate toward that energy. Some are even walking away from the Perry machine altogether. Fewer roles? Maybe. But they're choosing dignity over exposure. Because let's be real, being in a Tyler Perry movie ain't the badge of honor it used to be. And it's not just Eddie and Katt speaking out anymore. Now the women are stepping off that set, and when they leave, the whole foundation starts to shake. The whispers about Tyler used to fade into gossip, into jokes that came and went. Nothing ever stuck, until now. Somebody's getting thrown under the bus, and with how often Tyler Perry's name keeps popping up, a lot of folks think he might already be in the crosshairs. Even Ice Cube, who usually speaks in layers and code when it comes to Hollywood power plays, recently dropped a cryptic message. He said, "People are very polarized in all kinds of ways. People are afraid to speak out." And when Ice Cube says people are scared to talk, there's a real reason behind it. Hollywood runs on backroom deals, unspoken rules, and a whole lot of silence. Careers get made or ended in rooms most of us never see, but now those rooms are leaking. If those rumored tapes from Diddy's wild events really exist, and if Tyler's face shows up on one of them, this could be more than just scandal. It could be career ending, because this time it's not just whispers and online chatter. There's paperwork. There are lawsuits. There are federal agents watching, the kind of heat you can't ignore. And Katt Williams, he already told us what was going down. We just didn't listen. But now that the spotlight's on Tyler Perry's personal life, people are doubling back, not to celebrate his work, but to question it, to ask what his films have really been pushing all these years. And honestly, the pattern's hard to miss. This man, praised as a storyteller of the Black experience, has built a billion-dollar empire on a formula that's starting to feel real uncomfortable. Broken women, abusive men, endless trauma with no healing. Again and again, it's the same narrative dressed in a different wig. Look at one of his most classic films, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Steve Harris played Charles McCarter, a cruel, cheating husband who abused and humiliated his wife. That character became a blueprint for so many of Perry's scripts, and the question that keeps coming up is why? Why keep feeding the same painful image of Black life to audiences over and over? As more secrets surface, people are no longer just side-eyeing Tyler's private world. They're finally dissecting his public one too.